I'm doing a video today. It's not the one I wanted to do. The one I want to do is going to take a bit of planning in it. I don't usually plan my videos, but it needs to be done. So this one instead is about where I am at the moment in Bulgaria, and just something I've noticed over the years, that you've got expat communities all over the world, and you have effectively people trading people. Well, they're not really trading them, the people themselves are doing that. So people are choosing to migrate based upon their, well, you could say preference, but it's really a political preference, because it's the preference of more politics versus less politics, more government versus less government. People are actually moving all around the world to get the fuck away from their countries. And not just that, they're trading one tyrannical regime for another. So when Russians go to America, for example, or Americans can give their passports in and move to Russia, no problem, and many do. A lot more than what a lot of people think, actually. And it kind of highlights what the problem is. The problem is that I'm against all government, but let's say governments did work. Let's say they weren't just pieces of shit parasites, right? You still have a situation where you live, take America, for example. You've got America, you've got libertarians, you've got liberals who are independent, you've got so-called progressives, you've got for the Democrat parties and the Republican parties. So you have all these different types of people, and they all end up getting run by two types of people, which isn't really democracy overall. New Zealand has a thing called proportional representation, for example, and that is where you don't have to be ruled by the majority government. You get ruled by a coalition of the ones who got voted for the most. It's closer to democracy, but nowhere really has democracy, right? And who's to say that democracy is right? Because the world did pretty well without it for a hell of a long time. Not to say that I'm advocating that. So what if we had instead a world where what you did is you effectively had the world divvied up. You could have this in planets in the future, divvied up into what people want. So you could have let's say a planet or a country that was anarchistic, right? You could have one that was panarchy. You could have one that was libertarian, and so on and so on. Every type you could think of existed. And what you would effectively do is vote to live in the area you want. There's no point complaining the rest of your life. Just live where the fuck you want. Live the area that you think. If you want to be a socialist place, then go to the socialist planet or the socialist country, the socialist fucking continent, whatever it may be. And of course, you would have ones where you say, I don't want to live in any one. Well, I suppose that's panarchy, where you have all of them together with a kind of anarchistic twist, because you have minimal or no government at all, but people are charged with, if you have the smartest guy in the village who does a certain trade, he might be the head of the electricians, right? Another guy might be the head of the road workers, and you get shit done. Everyone puts their money in. It's a choice, not forced. But of course, when you've got spare money, because you don't have the parasite of government next to you, I think most people would actually give money. Give it. Here's a pothole outside your house. I don't want to put in money. Okay. If our neighbors see you driving in that road, we're going to kick the shit out of you. There you go. There's anarchy, right? Or panarchy. So these things could work, and this is a much better way to actually run civilization than what we're doing right now, to and froing between different ways, proving that capitalism doesn't work by bringing in socialism a few years later and derailing everything they did under the capitalist regime, and vice versa. You see this right now with Trump undoing everything that Obama did. Obama tried to undo everything that Bush did. Bush, he was just a fuck up, and in many ways so was Bill Clinton, but he didn't get the same notoriety for his fuck ups as Bush did. But believe me, he was just as responsible for the 2008 crash as Bush was, right? So that's about it, really. Just something really short, just something to think about. And the fact that we're not doing that, well, put it this way, the fact that people are moving over here to Bulgaria because there's less government, almost everyone, they just cannot be bothered with political correctness. And that's not just right-wingers. This is liberal people too, that true liberals, not the fake ones that you get that are social justice warriors and fucking dogs another shit at me. People who are self-righteous social justice warriors, that kind of thing. Oh, for fuck's sake, I want to get away from that fucking annoying dog. I would like to shoot them, but you know what? I agree. I think that crazy animals are like crazy people. Those dogs sometimes just sit there for like 5 hours just going yap, 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 right? Nutter. Anyway, I don't see the point of having a dog if all it does is sit there chained up. And I know it's not the dog's owners that could have been brought up better. But, you know, once you get destroyed, like, for example, someone who gets brought up in a terrible way, then he starts abusing kids. Well, there's a certain point where your luck defines you. And if you've had bad luck, then you're now defined as someone who's really fucked up. And you know, like, for example, the people that go to jail who've been brought up bad. Well, it's not your fault. It's a pity we don't have a time machine, but we don't. And you're already fucked up, and all you can do is destroy the lives of others or ruin the world. Anyway, I don't know why I said that one quickly, but the main point being, people can already move where they want to. A lot of people who are self-determined already do. As I say, if you live in Russia and the government knows you're there, you've already moved to America, and you've given some story about how you wouldn't be fairly treated, same as Iran, and then people move vice versa. It's already happening, and it works for those people. I think more people need to start doing that, and then the realization might come that we don't really need to have a to and fro government situation. We just need to have people move into the right place. So every race of people has all sorts. So and not to say that I'm saying that multiculturalism is the answer, because I don't think it is either. But what I'm saying is you may get a better balance, like in Eastern Europe, for example. There's a bit more conservatism out here, especially further east you go, right? There's also, let's say, people who want to move to Turkey, for example. They're not going to mind Islam, moderate Islam. So yeah, go move there. Get away from your governments, and don't spread the message. Like, for example, these people that go to America from Russia and all over the Eastern Bloc, who go on like it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's a fucked country, right? Everywhere is a fucked country. Stop thinking because my shithole government is against me that somehow this shithole government's better. They're not. They're all parasites. Please accept it, right? But you'll be happier under those assholes than under your own assholes, or the assholes that you move to later on in life, wherever it may be. And that's about it, really. Set yourself free. Move somewhere that doesn't conflict so much, because you can't change the world. There's no point in being a terrorist. There's no point trying to, go against government, because the rules are already set in place to make it so that you're going to be incarcerated, even if you just be a normal human being, let alone someone who goes against the system. So try to take the path of least resistance. And that's not complacency, by the way. That is the path of least resistance. Like, it might take you uprooting your whole life to take the path of least resistance. Being apathetic, different story. Sitting there doing nothing like a slug and just accepting everything that happens. That's not taking the path of least resistance. That's being a lazy cunt. All right.